Executive Suite with WPRI.com reporter Ted Nesi.
Welcome to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nesi. Always glad to have you with us. Today, we're going to be looking all over the place at sort of the range of businesses that we have here in Southeast New England with two very different companies that are both doing some very interesting things. Later on in the show, we're going to hear about Weir Your Music, which is taking guitar picks and turning them into jewelry and has all sorts of big names attached to it. It's a really interesting company. But first, I'm very pleased to be joined by Mack Barber. He is the CEO of iXblue Defense Systems. Mack, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
So iXblue, not necessarily a company most people are buying things from unless you're at the Pentagon. Tell us a little bit, what do you do at iXblue Defense?
We are a defense technology company. We're actually foreign owned. We're owned by a French company based just outside of Paris, and we build navigation systems for the defense market. In Lincoln, Rhode Island, which we just moved to recently, we are focused specifically on the defense market. There's other portions of iXblue that go after other portions of the market. This is an example of some of the technology right here. This is the low end of the product. It weighs about 3 pounds. If you think about if you have a navigation system in your car, and you're driving to the Logan Airport and you drive in the tunnel, you're going to lose your navigation. Mm-hmm. This technology would allow you to continue to know what direction you're going, how fast you're going, and essentially where you are on the earth.
So what's it actually, what are we looking at here? We have a nice close-up of it here. So point out what
printed circuit boards. Okay. Inside this can,
yep,
there's actually 3 spools of fiber optics.
Okay.
And each spool, XYZ, measures different directions, and what it does is it provides a solution when you don't have GPS.
Gotcha.
Which in the military is often.
Sure, yeah, because we all know the frustration when your phone goes out and you're trying to get to someplace you haven't been.
If you're underwater, you clearly don't have GPS. Actually, in Iraq and Afghanistan, one of the lessons learned was our forces didn't have GPS in Iraq and Afghanistan most of the time, the ground forces. And the reason they didn't have it is because they were jamming GPS. And the reason they were jamming GPS is they were shutting down the detonation devices for IEDs, mm-hmm, cell phones, garage door openers. Mm-hmm. And so when they came back, they said, we need some other way to do it. They were navigating in the city with maps and compasses.
In the 2000s?
Yep. And so this really, this technology's been around for a while, but it really almost exploded in terms of opportunity.
That is fascinating. So so how recently, I guess, was this level of non-GPS, GPS available? So, because I'd have to think that is a big change for people trying to pilot these ships underwater.
It's been around for a long time. It's just expanding in terms of the number of times you apply it. Okay. A lot of our business is in autonomous underwater vehicles. Mm-hmm. In the Rhode Island, Massachusetts area are the majority of the manufacturers of those vehicles, which can be as long as this table. And this gives them the ability, they'll start with GPS when on the surface, but when they go under the surface, they don't have it anymore. And this gives them direction, speed. And
how much is it?
This is the low end of our product line, which weighs about 3 pounds.
Yeah, it's not that heavy. For people can't see at home, but it's not.
Yeah, it would cost around $30,000.
So this is $30,000 we're looking at.
Yeah.
This is a lot more expensive than your host.
The high end of the product is about 50 pounds, and it's this big. It'd be used on a Navy ship, a Navy submarine. That would sell for $500,000 to $800,000, just depending on the different performance that you needed.
Wow. So you mentioned it already, but let's talk about, so one of the reasons you're here, you've just actually moved officially iXblue's headquarters from Natick, Mass. to Lincoln, Rhode Island. Yep. Unsurprisingly, state officials were elated. They had the big ribbon cutting. They were very excited. What drove the decision? Why Rhode Island?
Well, looking back, at the time it was a difficult decision. Looking back now, I'm not sure why it was so hard. The move to Rhode Island was a great move for us. Governor Raimondo, Stephen Pryor, the Commerce Corporation, these guys were great. And it wasn't just that they were trying to sell us, which they were trying to do this. They were also trying to help us. And it was a great move. And we had the ribbon cutting on May the 30th, I believe it was. I don't know what state in the United States you could have 2 senators, a governor, a congressman for a ribbon cutting. We have 13 people in the Rhode Island area now. That's that's pretty unique.
I'm curious how it began. Were you looking around potentially moving and you reached out to Rhode Island and they start to pitch you, or did they get wind of it and they came after you?
Well, I have an attorney he's since changed jobs, but in Providence, who was trying to convince us to move, and I was like, why would I want to do that? Massachusetts is fine. And then he introduced me to the Commerce Corporation, and that really began the discussion. I actually intended to stay in Massachusetts, but the effort that the state made to bring us here brought us here. And looking back now, it was a great decision for us. As of last week, we hired our first new employee since moving, who will start in 2 weeks. So we'll be at 13 in 2 weeks.
And do you expect to continue to grow? Does it look like you'll add, will you be 13 forever? Do you hope to add more?
No, I expect, our revenues right now are running around $10 million a year with 13 people. We'll be $100 million a year within 5 years.
Really?
Yeah, it's an exploding market.
And is that because you already have contracts built in, or you just can tell where the market is going?
We have some, but also we know where the market's going, and we've done a lot of work. Some of the larger opportunities are still in development. Another reason why we came to Rhode Island was we got great support from Congressman James Langevin, Senator Jack Reed, who are positioned in Washington in the right places to really push some of the spending that needs to be done in the defense area.
Yeah, both high on the Armed Services Committees on either side there. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Mack Barber about what they do at iXblue and the defense sector at large in Southeast New England. Stick with us on Executive Suite. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nesi. Later on in the show, we're going to hear about a company called Weir Your Music out of Providence and what they're doing with some very famous musicians. It's really fascinating. But right now, pleased to continue the conversation with Mack Barber. He is the CEO of iXblue Defense Systems, which recently moved from Massachusetts to Rhode Island and is expanding rapidly in the undersea navigation high-tech world, including this device, if you're just joining us, that goes for $30,000. So there's a lot of technology in here. Mack, you actually had a Rhode Island connection already leading into this move, because just a few years ago you decided, as you mentioned, iXblue parent is French, and decided to manufacture a product in the United States for the first time, and you actually selected Federal Electronics in Cranston. It used to be Federal Radio and TV, I believe, when they began to manufacture it. Why Federal Electronics, and why did you decide to manufacture in the U.S. at all?
Well, we're actually required by law. If we put this technology on a Navy ship, by law, we're required to manufacture it in the U.S. And it makes sense because the Defense Department really doesn't want to be buying a lot of foreign products. Right. So I went looking around to try to find a place, and I was introduced to Federal Electronics, and it was an instant connection. So in November of 2018, we shipped the first two products, which is actually the high-end product. It's the larger one I was telling you about earlier. To a Navy program called the Littoral Combat Ship, which was a huge thing for us. The process of transitioning, everyone talks about bringing manufacturing from foreign back into the U.S. Well, we did it, and it's not trivial. It's a lot of work. The connection with Federal Electronics was perfect. I mean, they did a phenomenal job, and then.
Because their thing is, they do, as I understand it, Federal Electronics does these like specialty.
They do.
Because you're not churning out 100,000 of these a day or something. You need to do a small number that are precise and perfect.
Yeah, they say they do things no one else wants to do, which was perfect for us because you have a lot of issues too, because we moved the drawings from France over here. Well, they're in French. Okay, no problem. We translated them. We gave them to the engineers. They couldn't understand them. So then we had to translate the English to engineering English. So we've learned a lot over the last couple of years. We went through the government to get approval that what we were doing actually qualified as manufactured in the U.S. because we're still bringing some technology from France. But I think it also got us some attention with the congressional members too, because this is something that's important because it's jobs. It's jobs at Federal, it's jobs at our facility. So it was a good move.
And you talk about jobs. So the defense sector is one of the leading lights of the Rhode Island economy in recent decades. Last check, over 30,000 people employed in the defense industry in Rhode Island, of course, a Navy base in Newport. What do you see as the biggest trends that are going to affect the defense sector in Rhode Island over the next decade or so? And how do you think the region is positioned to be helped or harmed by those trends?
Well, I think the unmanned area in defense is going to continue to grow. And if you think about it congressionally, having an unmanned system go in as opposed to a manned system, that's a good thing. And certainly Rhode Island is positioned well for that. Newark does a lot of work in that area.
That's a Naval Undersea Warfare Center.
We work with them closely. Sonata is a really good organization as well that's done an excellent job of putting people together. One of the things that we look, even when we go to Federal and we look at manufacturing something like this, we also look at Rhode Island companies that could be part of that supply chain. So it's a really good state for that, and there's a lot of technology and a lot of capability in the state, which makes it ideal for what we're trying to do. It was a good move for us.
And undersea, we talked about that. You just mentioned Newark, the Naval Undersea Warfare Center, and we've had other companies on that are really focused on what happens underwater and how to, whether it's tactically offensive operations or just defending and keeping the ship safe. Does Rhode Island have a real edge there right now compared with other regions that have that in defense? It's certainly there's been an effort at it.
Well, certainly the Massachusetts Rhode Island area does. I mean, they do have. I find it fascinating that it pretty much owns that undersea unmanned market. Some in Rhode Island, some in Massachusetts. Right now, today, that's a big portion of our business is in that area. But the growth we see is really there, plus the manned Navy market. When I joined iXblue in 2013 in Natick, and then we moved in 2019, the whole time I was in Natick, I don't recall having more than one or two times where we had government customers visit. Since we've moved to Lincoln, we've had 7 visits by senior level naval officials. So the timing is good. The market is huge. One of the problems that we have is we have more opportunities than we have people to go after them. Now that's a nice place to be,
good problem to
but
have.
it's also frustrating because strategically that says you have to make a decision of what you're not going to do. That's hard to say. Well, I'm not going to chase that piece of business. That's tougher than saying I'm going to chase that piece of business. So it's a really unique time. I think that I've been in the defense business since 1977, and the business tends to be this way. It's becoming more stable, though, which is a good thing for businesses. It's difficult for defense contractors when the business is going like this, and then 4 years later it goes like this. It makes it really hard to manage. It's becoming a little bit more stable, and I think that's good news.
All right, Mack Barber, we're out of time. CEO of iXblue Defense Systems, thanks for joining us. We'll be keeping an eye on everything you guys are up to. Don't go away, though. When we come back, we're going to talk with Hannah Garrison from Weir Your Music. Stick with us on Executive Suite. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nesi, and pleased to be joined now by Hannah Garrison. Hannah is the president and designer at Weir Your Music in Providence. We have some of their items on display here on the table. Hannah, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Ted.
So this is just fascinating. I think people are going to get such a kick out of this. Tell us about what you do at Weir Your Music.
I'm really lucky when I get to describe our project because it is absolutely cool. Basically, my job is to call up a ton of famous people and ask for their garbage. Literally, we collect the guitar strings that are discarded after huge concerts by acclaimed musicians. Everyone from Eric Clapton to Metallica to John Mayer. The list goes on. We collect these strings, then people order them, and we turn them into wearable memorabilia. So guitar string bracelets, pendants, wearable cuffs, memorabilia made out of the actual guitar strings from your favorite artist.
So I have an ignorant question for you. How often do they have to like if you have like a big concert? Is it a one night only for the strings? Do they immediately change them or?
It's an interesting question, and one that a lot of people ask, actually. It is completely different per artist. Some artists, Bob Weir of the Grateful Dead, he loves to keep his strings for as long as humanly possible. So for him, I only get about one set of strings, so 6 strings off his guitar a year. But then you have someone like Bryan Adams, and Bryan Adams plays with, we saw him recently and he was fabulous, I have to say. But he plays with, I think, 6 or 7 guitars on tour, and they're constantly cycling these guitars out every night and changing all the strings. So we have huge amounts of his guitar strings. So it's really, really different per artist.
So your inventory is entirely driven by how often the type of the frequency they want their strings changed.
Yes, it is. The inventory is an interesting thing. Some artists we have tons and tons, and some artists we have very, very small quantities.
So it's a great idea. Where did the idea come from? How did you get this started?
Well, it's actually a funny story. So I grew up doing the farmers market on Block Island. So before farmers markets were exactly the trend that they are today, I was out there and I was making jewelry out of recycled materials. So any kind of recycled goods, you know, anything that I could find that was left in my studio. And I had musician friends. And so they would hang out in my studio and play and change their strings. And these pieces of guitar strings and this refuse would just become part of the materials that I worked with.
So part of what's impressive to me is, as you mentioned names already, I was looking through your website, like you have Adam Levine, Bonnie Raitt, Dave Matthews, James Taylor. I mean, how did you get through, I'm sure, the layers of people? It's not like you just call those people up yourself.
I do.
Can you get to them?
That is basically what I do at this point. I'm calling their managers, I'm calling their guitar techs, I'm calling their publicists, but basically a lot of my job is talking on the phone.
Was it one of those where it was hardest to get the first couple, and then once you could say to the other ones, James Taylor's doing this?
Absolutely. I mean, as soon as I can say a handful of large musicians' names, then I think at that point it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah. It sort of verifies it for people. Like, okay, this is a legitimate
This
thing.
is legitimate. These are they really, in the beginning a lot of people would ask, are these really from those artists?
Yeah.
But as more and more artists started to donate, I think we have over 150 now. People began to see the legitimacy of the project. And again, when I call people, now they've heard of it.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit easier.
So do you get to meet any of these people?
I do. It's funny because I'm not a music person. So coming into this, I'm not like a fangirl. It was never my idea to go out and meet all the famous musicians. But at this point, especially now as I have more staff and we've grown a little bit, I try to do more getting out.
Does it matter that you're in Providence and not, Nashville, New York, Hollywood, wherever, the music scene is?
It really doesn't. I travel sometimes. I was just in Memphis, Tennessee. We actually just were awarded one of the 12 grants, the small business grant from FedEx. So that was a very big honor, and we were just traveling down there. But in general, a lot of artists tour. So I just meet them on their tours, Boston, New York, Providence.
And you thank them for doing this?
I thank them. I do a little meet and greet backstage.
Yeah.
I get to kind of feel out the artist. They all have different personalities. I think our most 3 recent, we went to see the Zombies, which was super fun. They were fabulous. Went to see Lisa Loeb, which of course is like a blast from my own youth. And we did go just see Bryan Adams at Mohegan Sun.
So part of the appeal for them is that a portion of the sale goes to charity, and they get to pick the charity, right?
Yes, they get to pick the charity. So take Carlos Santana. The profits from his bracelets go to the Milagro Foundation. So each of our artists selects their own kind of charity of choice.
Any really interesting ones or ones you think?
I think one of my favorites is Nordhoff Robbins, which is an amazing music therapy charity, and I love them because every time we give them a check, they tell us literally how many sessions of music therapy they were able to provide a child.
Do you have a total? How much you've been able to give to charity so far?
I do. We've raised over $500,000 for charity in over the last 6 years.
Wow, that's amazing. So, but it's also a company. You run this as a business, and you talk a lot about. You describe it as a values-driven organization, as well as a woman-owned organization. Talk about why that's important to you and how you balance. Being mission-driven with being, at some point you have to make payroll and, pay the bills and make sure your inventory is on time, and how you find that balance.
I think that when I look at the companies that I choose to support in my everyday life, clothing places I shop from, where I spend my money, I try to make intentional decisions. I mean, I have the privilege of doing so, and so I want to point out that that is a privilege. I have the privilege of making decisions with my money and choosing where I put my impact. And I think I bring that personal mission right along to Wear Your Music with who I hire, where I source my packaging, where I source my materials, getting labor that's USA driven, getting USA made materials. And so I think I take those personal values and I bring them to the company, and I see what works and I see what the fan base responds to. And people, there is a huge, huge demand for sustainable business that is profitable. I'm not shying away from profit. I'm not saying I want to pay more for things, but I am saying that there are people who care where they're spending their money. There are people who want to make sustainable initiatives more profitable, more powerful, and more the norm, where that shouldn't be and I have to go and search out this initiative. Everything that I do, every place that I go, I want to know that that company is doing good. And so that's what I want, and so that's what I'm going to offer.
And actually, Anna, how you just mentioned it, but how you got on my radar screen was when you won this FedEx Small Business Grant contest. I believe came with $15,000 grant for the company, which I'm sure is always helpful for
I will take any grant money you want to give me. Yes.
And you were just there, as you said, you were on a panel, I think, about e-commerce. That's an interesting place to be, FedEx HQ. Any interesting takeaways for you from that experience?
For me, the most exciting was to sit there with this group of 12 other entrepreneurs. I mean, that's my peer group. Often I am with people in the music industry, but they're not CEOs, they're not running their own enterprises, they're not entrepreneurial. So for me, it was really about fostering that community, that entrepreneurial community, and seeing that the challenges that they had and the successes, and kind of feeling held within that community.
And I'm curious, going back to the products, and we're looking at any examples here you want to point out that we're looking at. Whose are we looking at here?
Well, I'm wearing a Rob Thomas necklace, pendant necklace, so I'm super, super stoked about him. He is one of the most recent artists to onboard. And we have an exciting launch. I'm going to whisper it to you, but don't tell anyone. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, so later on, this is October, so in November, right around holiday season, we are launching the Mumford & Sons.
Oh, that'll be a good seller.
That's a good one. And so I did do a meet and greet here in Rhode Island with them when they were here recently.
Does it take you a long time usually, or is it often you ask and they're like, great?
Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's yes, heard of it, love it, want to do it, perfect. And other times it has to get through their channels. Is this possible? Is this something we can collect on tour? All the artists that are displayed here today, I've got Willie Nelson down here in this cuff bracelet, which is right here. I have Nancy Wilson of Heart, and Brian May. So a lot of the artists that donate to us are very, very, very well known. But we also have a whole collection, which you'll see down here in colors, that's one-size bracelets, which are not from acclaimed musician strings. So we have some stocking stuffer type things, some things that are, sell for about $20, and not the artist products, which are $50 to $500.
And I'm just curious, who's the best seller, or what are the best sellers?
Ooh, who's the best seller? John Mayer has traditionally been a really, really good seller, although not my personal music of choice. I really think that, let's see, Ani DeFranco has been a big seller. Her fan base is really tight. I know.
I had friends in high school.
And I'm going to see her next month here in Providence if you want to be my wingman.
Nice.
Actually, I've met her before. She's great, and she's been donating to the project. I actually went down to New Orleans. The charity that she gives money to
10 seconds left.
Is the Roots of Music in New Orleans, and it's a phenomenal charity.
Hannah Garrison, this is awesome. Christmas is coming, so check out Rate Your Music. You can maybe find something for the music lover in your life. Thank you so much for being with us. It's weiryourmusic.com, right?
Yes.
And if you missed any of this show or any other episode, you can find them all on WPRI.com or subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. See you back here next week.